topics that you can think about. Any number of topics of conversational thought that you can think about. But really there's only two ways that you can think about those thoughts. So whether you're thinking about cooking or whether you're thinking about exercising or playing a game, you can really only think about these things or achievements like writing a book with imagery and with an internal dialogue. So you can talk to yourself about a plan. You can imagine seeing what it would look like when you've achieved something. You can see all the steps. You can see all the steps and hear everything that's going on. You can have the multi-sensory experience, the vision and the audio building, which obviously then create a good feeling if it's a good thing that you want to do, or a good topic that you're talking about. So there are these two ways that we can think. And within these two ways that we can think, obviously one being in imagery and one being in sound, there are certain distinctions that can be made. So if you think with a voice, what's the tonality like? Is it an angry, shouty voice? Is it an excited voice? There are these distinctions that can be made. Volume is another distinction. It can be quiet, it can be loud. And a quiet, whispering voice is going to be very different to a loud, shouty voice, and it will make you feel differently. There are also other things. It can be louder in one ear than the other. It can sound like it's behind you or in front of you. And by changing these things, having a voice behind you in an anxious tonality, whispering all the time in your ear, and another voice affirming everything that this says about you that's negative and horrible, with a really affirming, yes, he is like that. Those kind of voice tones, those kind of thinking patterns within the way that we can think with internal dialogue are going to be very different to having a choir singing at you. Yeah, he can do this, he can go over there and talk to those people and everyone's going to love. Having a choir like that, totally extreme to the Grimer Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings, whispering into the king's ear, hypnotizing him, which is what it is. It's a hypnotic story and a spell that you're under, that you've been telling yourself for however many years. So first, being aware that you think, and there are certain distinctions that we can make, means we can start to alter the structure of that thinking, and therefore alter the way you feel. In the visual domain, we picture things, and they can be big and bright and colourful and even bouncy and fluffy and cartoon-like, or they can be dark and creepy and shadows, and it's a totally different thought. One is the stuff of nightmares, and one is the stuff of champions winning and seeing themselves succeeding and excelling. And again, when you know the structure of the colours and the size of the image and how close it is and how fast it moves, once you start to understand the structure in which the thinking is happening, changes to the structure will cause changes to the way you feel and the way that you're able to perceive problems, or the way that you're able to just eliminate certain beliefs, certain behaviours that you do from your being, so you can have more time to do other more wonderful things. When my son was very little and having nightmares, he would wake up in the middle of the night with these scary images in his mind. I taught him a very simple technique, NLP technique, the whiteout technique, to have him get rid of the images and be able to go back to sleep. A couple of times doing this, showing him how to do it, and he would wake up and do it to himself and just fall back to sleep. Occasionally he would come in and say, I've had a nightmare. I asked him, have you tried the couple of different techniques I showed you? He would say no. I'd say, go back into bed, try the technique, and if that doesn't work, come and get me. And he went back into his room and did the techniques, fell asleep. He's fine now. Very rarely even has nightmares. He adjusted the way he was thinking with this technique, this NLP technique called the whiteout technique. So if you're interested in finding out about the whiteout technique, how to change the sounds, we'll have another video on that very soon. So hope you got some ideas of what you can do once you understand the structure of your thinking, about the potential to be able to change it from one to a winning, and some of the power of these techniques. And I'll shoot you some other videos explaining some of these in more detail. That's John Vincent. Hope you enjoyed.